I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're exploring a powerful book. It is called Being the Way. It is written by a wonderful author. His name is Reverend McAndrew. This profound work delves into a transformative journey after the baptism of Jesus, offering a unique perspective on achieving a life in tune with heaven's presence. It is a call to let go of the past, embrace a new way of being, and see the world through a lens of hope and spiritual awakening. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his powerful book. The links are below this interview. Reverend, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good to see you. Good to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. Great to have you on the show. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration about writing about the life of Jesus following his baptism.
Well, for me, I believe I actually had a number of different experiences growing up that led me away from church, from religion, from spiritual discipline, and I kept getting these promptings, and I actually call them 2x4 experiences that causes
Whack
me
you.
wake up.
Exactly.
And one of the things is that I was raised in a very traditional household with religion, and by the time I got to be a senior in high school and went to college, I left religions behind. I didn't want to have anything to do with them. I thought God was really mad at me, and I didn't know why. And so, as time went on, I had a couple of different experiences. Finally, it caught my attention. Um, as I mentioned, I had a first book called The Miracle Before Your Eyes, which is how I learned to see the miracle before my eyes and how everyone can see that miracle before their eyes. And then, as I mentioned that in the opening part of the book, is that what if we understood things a little bit differently, and that these experiences that we have are actually calls for awakening? What if we knew that Jesus' baptism down at the river was actually a call for him to wake up and to return home? And what did he do? He ran away. If you read the text, he ran away.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what most of us do. We push that away and we begin to look for something different. But as I believe Jesus was a mystical teacher of ancient teachings that were pushed away out of our culture, just like they were here with the Native Americans. They weren't allowed to look at their native teachings, as was done around the world. But one of the insights into those ancient teachings, and I call myself a crazy historian because I believe there's actually two different viewpoints to every historical happening, and somewhere in between, there's the truth. And the only way that you really get to that truth is like Socrates taught, is that we have to look at those and feel the tensions of the story and then look deeper into the story to find out what it's trying to tell us, what the universe, what God is actually trying to tell us. So when we begin to look at the stories in the Bible with Jesus, what if we understood that this was his call to awakening and to follow his path of in spirit? What if we knew that when we have these different experiences, it's a call for us to wake up? And when I say wake up, we, as it says in the book of Acts 17:27 to 28, people will long for God. In fact, they'll even grope for God, although God is never very far away from any one of us, for it is in God that we live, move, and have our being.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we long for, is to know and to feel that presence, that life force all around us. But we weren't ever taught that. I wasn't taught that. But that's what we're trying to do. And so Jesus goes on, and he begins his ministry when he comes out of the wilderness. He's sorted everything out. He knows what his calling is to do. Is to follow the ancient Essene traditions and to share this idea with as many people as he could. Fortunately, his teachings got to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They got kind of blurred along the way, but they got to us. And if we start to look at that, and so what does he do when he comes out of the wilderness? He seeks to develop his awareness, what his spiritual disciplines, spiritual faculties, which are within us, and he begins to discipline them. And so, I go back to another quote in Mark 1:15. The kingdom of good is Bible according to Patrick. The kingdom of good is within your grasp. Turn to it and believe in the good news. That's what the word gospel means.
Yeah.
Is good news. And so Jesus is trying to share with everyone about this kingdom, and the word heaven actually means realm of infinite possibilities. He's trying to go out and share this idea about this realm of infinite goodness and possibilities that's all around us. But the people of his time weren't taught to experience it. Just like today, we live at one of the most incredible times ever. I can talk to you. I'm in Oklahoma City and you're in New York or LA.
New York. Yeah.
So we can talk to each other, we're
in the same room. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. What's the message you hope that folks take away when they read your book?
Well, that's really the goal. We live at a time of very dark times. Crazy things are going on in the world. There's so much violence. There's so much what I'll call backstabbing, and there's so much negativity. And we live at one of the most incredible times that, like I was saying, that there's ever been on the planet. And yet, do we look at all these wondrous things, or are we trapped by the darkness? Yeah. And so we'll each get a calling. And this is a message as the book goes on, when we learn about what Jesus actually taught, which was being the way. The next word that jumps into my head is the word spirit. The word spirit in Aramaic, Greek, and Latin means breath of life.
Yeah.
Jesus said God is the breath of life, and those who worship God will worship God with their every breath. And so this idea that this breath of life fills us in this moment is incredible. And then we can tune into it, and that's what Jesus shows us how to do, is to tune into this life force. And that's what sharing the different things within my book of Being Away. I take Jesus's bits and pieces from Jesus's life, and I use the metaphor. I use his life and his teachings through the metaphor of understanding that there was something something there that I needed to learn. Yeah. And through the learning process, I developed, because when I first got into Unity, found my way into Unity Church, I was in complete darkness. Life couldn't get any worse. And I began those step-by-step process, and through what they had to offer, I awoken to the goodness of God's kingdom. And it's a step-by-step process. One of the people that I met along the way when I was still in Unity was a guy called John Gray. And so as I'm learning about the idea of the stories of metaphor, one of his books that he wrote, one of the first books that he wrote that didn't get published till later, was called What You Can Feel, You Can Heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have a day-to-day life experience right here, right now, and we begin to go into the darkness, what we need to do is to actually take a deep breath in, go into that place and find out what that darkness, what that hurt, that pain that we're feeling is all about. Because most of the time, it's not about the person that we're talking to. We'll come up, we'll see them, they'll say something, and it will push one of our buttons.
Right.
And then when we get that button pushed, we experience all this darkness. It's not about the person in front of us. It's about what we learned in the past that we have to call up, look at that story, look at that experience, and then heal it.
Yeah.
Know that the person that before us is simply doing the best that they can. Right?
Yeah.
They learn these different things through other people, and then they're sharing this idea, and they don't even know that they're causing us pain. Even if they think they are, it's not them. And so we go back, we look at that, we can heal the experience, see the divine light within them, and know that they're doing the best that they can, and then let them go. And so, one of my I got a couple degrees in psychology, and so John Gray really began to make a lot of sense. And what if we began to really do that in our culture, especially with politics? I'm not so about politics. It's all the different characters that we see in the political spectrum, no matter where they're at, they're there to teach us a lesson.
Yeah. Exactly. Each has a good story. Each might have a bad story. You choose your focus. You can choose the light or you can choose the dark. And obviously your message is that we need to choose the light. This is a powerful book, folks. It is called Being the Way. It is written by Reverend Patrick McAndrew. It's a profound work that dives into the transformative journey of Jesus following his baptism, and it offers a unique perspective on achieving a life in tune with heaven's presence. It'll bring you peace. It'll bring you joy. It'll help you see the happiness that's right there in front of you. Reverend, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.